Good morning. We welcome Chamber members to the Searcy Regional Chamber of Commerce's second In the Know Virtual Candidates Forum this year. I'm Charles Gaines, Chair of the Government Affairs Committee of the Chamber. Today, we are pleased to present a virtual candidates forum with the three candidates for White County Sheriff in the May 24th Republican primary, the incumbent Philip Miller and candidate Sam Jeffrey and Larry House. This event is being recorded and will be available for viewing by the public as a listing on the Chamber's website and placed as a link in an email sent to the Chamber membership. We cannot have these events without our sponsors and gratefully thank our following sponsors for supporting this event: First Community Bank, First Security Bank, and Unity Health. I also thank Buck Lang, President and CEO of the Chamber, Tara Cathy, Vice President of the Chamber, and Aaron Pike, Office and Communications Coordinator for the Chamber, along with the Government Affairs Committee for ideas, planning, and execution of this event. For audience members, we recommend you use the speaker setting to have the current speaker highlighted on your screen. And please also ensure you are muted. And one way to do this is to touch the space bar on your keyboard. We are privileged to have Jamie Gates serve as our moderator for the Virtual Candidates Forum. Jamie is the Executive Vice President for the Conway Area Chamber of Commerce and the Conway Development Corporation. In his chamber role, he leads the team award-winning communications, publications, and government relations efforts. Jamie brought a wealth of experience to his current position, having previously worked for the City of Conway, the Arkansas Speaker of the House, the Conway Downtown Partnership, and the Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Jamie, thank you for serving as our moderator today, and our event is now under your guidance.
Super, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If Buck calls and tells me to do something, I do it, and so that's how you ended up with me. But we will get started. Want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you, candidates, for taking advantage. This is part of the process, and y'all are to be applauded for doing this. I'm taking notes. It's probably late for us, but we're going to copy the Searcy Chamber's lead and adopt something similar. I think this is a really useful and appropriate way to do it, moderator aside. A little bit of housekeeping and protocol. I want to let everybody know. I don't know any of the candidates, have no dog in that fight, got no real history that I know of with the White County Sheriff's Office. Please don't go digging too hard, but I think we're safe there. I do want to start off. We're going to make sure, just so you know, that the order of the questions is fair. I've got 3 pieces of paper here. It's labeled Toad Suck Days because that is this weekend. That is my only compensation for this is getting to advertise the festival, Toad Suck Days. And so I will start with the incumbent Philip Miller. I will give him the honor of just picking one of these 3 words, and I'll let you know what order is behind them.
Toad.
Toad, excellent pick. I put the stickers on here, not really knowing what I'd written down. If you can look, that says second. So what we'll do now is Larry House, you've got sucking days left.
Days.
That's what I figured you were going to choose, and that is first. And so we will start with Larry House on the first question. Then we'll go to Sheriff Miller, and then to Sam Jeffrey for the third. And then I'll rotate and you all take turns following through the rest of the questions. And so first question, we'll give everybody, hope you have something of an opening statement prepared, but just why are you running and what do you hope to accomplish? And my timekeeper is Aaron, and you're gonna give us a waiver.
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Yes, that's me.
And what kind of cue are you going to give us on time?
I'll just say time.
Okay. And how long per answer?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Maybe
Yes, sir.
maybe a wave at the 1 minute mark would be nice.
Okay.
All right, you candidates, y'all follow that? All right. So there we go. Philip, you want to start us off?
Okay, well, good afternoon. I appreciate this opportunity. For those that don't know me, my name's Philip Miller. I am a lifelong resident of White County. I graduated from Jedsonia High School and started my adult life in public service at 18 as joining a volunteer fire department in White County and served there for a number of years. At 19, I went to EMT school at Foothills Votech, which is now ASU Searcy. And then at 21, I became a law enforcement officer, actually starting with the city of Bald Knob. Attended the Law Enforcement Academy in 2000, where I graduated #1 in my class in academics. And then in 2001, I became affiliated with White County Sheriff's Office and have been there ever since, where I worked my way up through the ranks to become chief deputy for 6 years prior to being elected last term as the sheriff of White County. I'm married to my wonderful wife, Nikki. We've been married for 10 years. We've got 4 kids that attend Searcy Public School and one that will begin in the fall. So very busy with home life and all things kid related. And we attend Highway Church of Christ, where we've been for a number of years, and enjoy being out there with the folks there when as often as possible. Part of the things that I have accomplished as chief or as sheriff is the writing of several grants that have provided additional money for equipment. The most current grant that I just finished this past year was to provide additional funding to continue to have a specialized crimes against women and domestic violence unit, as well as our sexual assault unit, in which we have added a 3rd detective last year. And you know, it's a horrible thing they have to do, but it's a most needed thing.
All right. And I realize now that I started this off in the wrong order. I broke my own rules, but you know, that's not an arrestable offense. So Larry, we'll come to you with the that same question. Why are you running and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good evening and thank you for allowing me to be here and speak with y'all. I'm running for White County Sheriff, and I've lived in Bald Knob for 37 years, actually. I've been married to my wonderful wife, Patricia, for 33 years. We have 2 beautiful daughters, Logan and Morgan, and one very special to me grandson. He's my best good friend in the whole wide world. I've spent the majority of my life working and managing people. I have a rock solid work ethic and proven business skills to develop a culture of teamwork and to implement a program that gets the job done. I have, throughout my career in business, provided award-winning service to major companies all over the Southern United States, including Georgia Pacific International Paper Company and ExxonMobil and Chesapeake Energy, just to name a few. Currently, I'm in the law enforcement business, and I'm passionate about it. I've done all that other stuff to make a living. I do this because I feel like it's a calling. Some of the things that I have accomplished here as chief of police, one of the most proudest things I've done is reduce time significantly. Some other things is I built a working BAC room. I have a K9 team that is probably second to none. I have one of only 2 DREs in the whole county. I believe I'm right on that. I have gotten every unit in Bald Knob in-car computers, and that's basically what I got right now. And
Thank you.
Appreciate being here. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for having this event. I'm happy to be here. My name's Sam Jeffrey. First and foremost, I'm a Christian. I've been married to my wife, Emily, for 22 years. She grew up in Bald Knob and Searcy. I got 4 kids, 4th grade through. I got a senior that reminds me every day. She graduates in about a week. We moved here in 2015. I was a federal agent, special agent with the CIA for about 10 years prior to that. And we moved here largely to get away from that crazy frenetic pace of living in a big city and just go to a place where we could raise our kids. And, I'd done counterterrorism, I'd done counter trafficking operations up there, and moved down here to become the director of the criminal justice program at Harding, which is a role I'm still in. And in that role, I developed a lot of relationships with law enforcement. That's kind of part and parcel of doing that. And as I got to develop those relationships, I came to know that things weren't quite as they seem from a law enforcement perspective. And I'm running because I think change is needed. Our deputies need to be supported in a way that they're currently not. Our community needs to have confidence that narcotics trafficking is being put in check. And our criminals need to have some element of fear that White County isn't a good place for them to be setting up shop. And so I plan to do that with 4 mission priorities. One is we got to honor God in how we go about this. That means we treat each other with integrity. We operate with openness, transparency, and accountability. It means that we work as though we're working for the Lord and not for men. We got to fight narcotics trafficking. White County has a long history of narcotics trafficking. No chapter in that history is darker than the one we're in right now. We've got to go on the offense against that. Human trafficking is something that's growing in this state and growing in White County. The FBI came in last week to help do some training just for that reason, because they recognize it's a huge problem. And then the federal government is getting out of hand, and the sheriff is the elected law enforcement official in the county who can tell them this far and no further in my county. So by prioritizing those.
Super. Thanks, guys. I do appreciate everyone stopping on the time. That's a good precedent to set. And so I know it may be awkward, but I promise you it's not as awkward as having Aaron yell at you twice. So appreciate y'all honoring that. And I know everyone here understands the position you are. We have more questions, and y'all can pick up and elaborate on those as we move forward. Mr. House, we are going to start with you on this second question.
Okay.
And I'm going to allow you 2 answers here, a 1 and maybe even a 1A if you need it. But what is the most pressing need for the sheriff's office, and how do you recommend that it be addressed?
Well, there's a couple. The most pressing need is the crime. The crime is on the rise. And 2, I believe, and I don't want to step on any toes or get out of line, we need a jail fully open and fully functioning. We also need to communicate and work with the municipalities across the county. Right now, there's a shortage of officers in all of our departments, I'm pretty sure, and it's my plan to work with all the municipalities and everybody that has a badge, work together to make this a safer county and work on the crime and especially the narcotics problems going on in the county. I think if you got to, we need to be a unity and not have division between everybody. And we also need, when we arrest someone, we need to have a place to take them to. Someone needs to go to jail. That's where they need to be.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jeffrey, you'll be going second with the same question. Most pressing need for the sheriff's office and how you recommend it be addressed.
Absolutely. For me, the most pressing need is unity. I feel like I kind of get to cheat because I would echo a lot of what Larry said. When you look around the county, there is not a one team, one fight mentality, and there's nobody leading the county towards that. There's no communication coming out to the municipalities. There's no coordination throughout the county. And this is something that if you get out and you talk to people outside of Searcy, you see this, you hear it repeatedly. Leadership is what's desperately needed. There are certainly, crime is on the rise. FBI statistics for White County show that. But we've got to step up and we got to lead from the front, showing unity and showing that we're going to take the fight to the criminals.
All right, thank you. And finally, same question for Sheriff Miller. What's the most pressing need, and how do you recommend it be addressed?
Sure. I think one of the needs that we have is to continue to modernize both in
how we combat crime and what we use to combat crime. Presently, that we've got 4 major technology projects that are underway that we're working on now. To address the jail, our jail is open. As of this morning, we have 299 inmates in that jail. There's a lot that goes into managing a jail, and is probably one of the toughest responsibilities that a sheriff has, is to ensure that the jail is operated within the laws of the state, within the federal laws, with civil rights, making sure that we do our best not to violate civil rights, and to continue to be safe in what we're doing there. One of the things that I did once I became sheriff is to institute a mutual aid agreement between all law enforcement agencies in the county. Not just one, not just 2, but every law enforcement agency in the county signed a mutual aid agreement that gave all of us mutual aid responsibilities and abilities. So whatever city agency it is, the county, we all have that mutual aid together. And I think that's important to have that working relationship. As far as officers in the county, there's never enough, whether it be my agency, whether it be another agency, and we're all working hard together. And I've spent some time working to try to help address that with our legislature, with our local quorum court and county judge. And we are working to better law enforcement in White County. But I also think that means we need to make law enforcement continually improve the professionalism.
Great. Thank you very much. I praised y'all last question over stopping when you were asked to. I want to continue to compliment y'all on answering the question that I've asked, and just put out a notice if we do get into any issue of where we, and this is not because you've done it, it's because you haven't done it, where we do start talking about someone in a specific fashion, and I feel like it warrants an opportunity for them to rebut. I'm going to do that. But again, that's not a word of caution. That's just an update to let everybody know. So if it happens, what we're up to. And so Sheriff Miller, you went last, and I'm going to give you a second to catch your breath and start us off on this question. There have been numerous articles in the paper addressing significant drug and or human trafficking activities. This may include organized cartel type activity. What are your thoughts specifically on those problems, and how will you go about addressing those problems?
Well, the White County Sheriff's Department is a partner in the Central Arkansas Drug Task Force, and there's many other components that work together with that. We have 2 officers that are sworn federal agents that are deputies, but are working through the Central Arkansas Drug Task Force. Information sharing is vital, and that's a lot of what goes on in there. Just in the past year alone, we've had the largest single drug bust in White County, both of methamphetamine and opioid pills. And I think that attributes to how well we're working within the Central Arkansas Drug Task Force to share information and to help combat that trafficking. Secondly, and we announced yesterday, we made an arrest charging a young man with a homicide-related offense as it relates to him delivering or supplying fentanyl-laced opioids. And that's a crisis that is growing every day. In 2020, that became the largest killer, even higher than methamphetamine, which we've always had an issue with here. So those are just 2 things that I think help address that question.
You bet. Mr. Jeffrey, same question. Your thoughts on those specific problems, organized drug activity, human trafficking, opioid epidemic, and how that should, what the response looks like.
Sure. It's a great question. These are priorities that have to be, we got to keep them at the top of the list. The reality is, when you're looking at something like this, specifically drug trafficking, and you used the word organized, it's a business. They're setting it up where they can make a profit. We got to remember that. And they're setting it up in White County because this is the place they think they can make the most profit. They didn't go to Independence County. They didn't stop at Pulaski County. You've got to look at it and say, we're not really currently on the way to anywhere, right? So why are we having these massive busts? Why did the U.S. Attorney in Little Rock have to step in 2020 and do Operation Central Sweep and bring in a bunch of federal agents? The reality is, in order to take on these issues, we've got to step forward. We got to take care of our own business. We can't be upset that the federal government's stepping in if we're not stepping in. And so we've got to go after them. We've got to be on the offense against that. Once 67 turns into I-57, we're going to be sitting on the fastest smuggling route between Dallas and Chicago. Every negative criminal trend that we have is going to escalate. If we don't take this brief window of time that we have to nip this issue or these issues in the bud, it's going to outstrip our resources. Human trafficking is on the rise. We have to send a clear message to traffickers that says White County youth are off limits. And we can only do that by implementing what are national best practices of offensive operations against human traffickers. That's never been done once in the history.
Unless I know one of the people.
I thought that was my time.
I've got you for another 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's the reality of this is these problems are going to get worse if we do not nip them in the bud. If we do not start implementing aggressive offensive operations against narcotics and human traffickers, it's going to get out of hand.
Thank you. And Mr. House, same question.
All those pretty good answers. What I'm going to do, that's one of the reasons I'm running for sheriff. What I'm going to do is what I've been doing, what I've actually been doing in Baltimore. Again, only thing I know to call it is proactive policing. And we go out and patrol the area that we're within our city limits and learn about what's going on in the community, visit with the people, learn about that we got a problem area over here, go work on it. We have it's been kind of quiet this year. Last year, we wrote over 150 felony narcotics cases against people selling drugs, moving drugs here in our community. And it's not completely eradicated yet, but it's slowed way down because we've been proactively policing and putting pressure on the people that's actually doing the drugs and stuff. Drug activities. As far as the human trafficking goes, we just had a case of that attempted in Baltimore the other day. I don't want to call them names, but we had two males pull up by the school and one of them got out and handed a 14-year-old male a note that I won't go into because I guess it's an ongoing case. But we had them caught and arrested. They were staying in a motel in Searcy. We had them caught and arrested the next day for, I don't remember exactly what the charges were on them. Harassment, some kind of trying to seduce a child. I don't remember exactly what charge it was, but we got those caught in one day. And we done that by, being in the community policing. And that's what we're going to continue to do and do that all over White County.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Jeffrey, I'm going to come to you with this next question.
Sure.
I learned a little something here. White County is the second largest county in square miles in the state. That does put a strain on your resources. How do you feel about the current funding available for adequate personnel and equipment that ensures the safety of both officers and citizens? And would you anticipate a need to address additional funding on this issue? If so, how?
So, yes, so great questions. Obviously, White County has 4,000 miles of road. And the reality is we're going to use as many officers as we can put out there. So yes, I mean, it's absolutely, we're going to push the limits, but the reality is right now there's vacancies all over the sheriff's office, right? I mean, Sheriff Miller mentioned 299 inmates in the jail. there may be 3 or 4 jailers operating that jail tonight. That's well under the allotted amount of people for those spots, and most shifts are running short right now. So it's not just a matter of do we need to get an additional allotment from the quorum court, because that is their purview, not the sheriff's, but do we need to get an additional allotment for them for this? But can we fill the positions that we already have available? And so we've got to be aggressive in doing that, but bringing in top quality candidates to do that. So, you know, from a technology and equipment standpoint, we're basically running right now a 1988 package. There's no computers in the car. There's no cell phones. Radios don't work in large portions of the county. We're asking our deputies to go out and put their lives on the line. And when they drop off the grid, we're just kind of crossing our fingers and hoping they pop back up. That had to happen in 1988, but it's 2022. It doesn't have to keep happening. We've got to make getting them the equipment that they need a priority. That's why I spearheaded 2 different movements to get them body armor that they were lacking. And I just rallied citizens to do that. And I'll continue to do that as sheriff. Grant writing is something that is underutilized at the sheriff's office. And so making that a priority, we can sidestep a lot of the budgetary restraints by bringing in a grant writer to hit up the federal government and private industry to get grants, to get the equipment that our deputies sorely need.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. And again, you answered all 3 questions. I wanted to let everyone know and again, this is another question, another opportunity to compliment all 3 candidates. If I ask a question and you don't answer it, you may earn yourself a little time, but it's going to be me asking the same question again. And so again, I was tracking. That was a long, complicated question, so I was tracking to see that it was addressed. And so I just want to give everybody, again, set that expectation. Mr. House, the same question, and I'll repeat it. Large county, which stresses your people and equipment. How do you feel about current funding? Do you anticipate the need for additional funding? And if so, how?
I think that the best way to address the need is put more officers on the street. I'm pretty sure that the funding is available. I think that there's a surplus of money because of, there's countywide sales tax that pays for that. I mean, every town pays every month for a service, and I'm not sure that we need any more funding necessarily. I do believe we need more boots on the ground. We need, like Sam said, not to steal from what he said, but we need better communication. All over the radio system is bad. There's places in the county that needs better service, not just with technology, but with boots on the ground, people patrolling. I guess that's all I have for that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And Sheriff Miller, same question. You need me to repeat it, or you?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So there's different streams of revenue that come into the sheriff's office. Some are earmarked for specific things. Some are revenue that just in general supports the sheriff's office. I've had a great working relationship with the quorum court that oversees the funding for the sheriff's office. We've got over 6,000 street, road, and highway miles in White County, and that's number 1 above any other county. I've heard the talk about the vacancies, and that's true. And when we get together as sheriffs at our sheriff's conference, the number 1 thing that we always talk about is vacancies that are open, not just in White County, but in Arkansas and across the nation. And we are constantly working to try to find ways to help recruit and retain good officers. When you talk about personnel, I went before the quorum court a year ago and was successful in getting 3 new positions funded. What's something that you do have to keep up with is, while the funding may be there this year, you have to look long-term and make sure that that funding is going to be adequate to sustain those positions and not run out in a couple of years. And then you're forced to cut back on what you do have. So you've got to be cautious to make sure that you're working forward with that. But that ends that question. I want to jump back just 1 second if I can and correct something. The Operation Central Sweep that was through the U.S. Attorney's Office was not the U.S. Attorney coming in and taking over. That was a collaborative effort that started with many, many street level drug interactions and arrests in White County that continued to grow, and we continued to work with those state and federal partners. And that's how Operation Central Sweep came to be and was as successful as it was. Thanks.
You bet. Thank you, Sheriff. I want to again compliment everybody for answering the questions and what the sheriff did there. He was under his time limit, and so I'm okay with y'all doing the same, as long as we're respectful about it and you do answer the question that we asked. So thank you, everybody. All right, we're going to move on to our next question, and Mr. Jeffrey, we're going to start with you. And the department's current budget is approaching $8 million per year, has a staff of over 100. What experience or skills do you have that will allow you to manage an organization of that size?
Sure, great question. So as a federal agent, I led teams all over the world. We often operated with budgets that exceeded that we had to manage. And there was high accountability for those dollars. So managing that budget, managing those people is going to come fairly straightforward. 100 staff, we need to increase it. And the reality is you've got a solid core of people in as far as those deputies go, people who are putting their life on the line day in and day out. And we've got to better utilize the resources that we have in order to get them the training and the equipment that they need. I've got plenty of experience. I'm an instructor with the Arkansas Criminal Justice Institute. I've taught a lot of law enforcement officers there. Have a lot of experience leading teams all over the world and in the States. And so this is a challenge that I look forward to. I would also like to go back to Operation Central Sweep. I'm only going off what the Assistant U.S. Attorney in Little Rock said, that they were who initiated it. And I would also point out that of the 33 arrests, there were an exorbitant amount of warrants out for those 33 people, some of whom had already been arrested but have been turned away at the jail. So that's my piece.
Okay. Sheriff Miller, again, talk a little bit about the experience and skill set managing organization of this size.
Sure. Like I said earlier, having spent the last 21 years at the sheriff's office, I've worked up through the ranks. And for 6 years as the chief deputy, that was one of my main jobs, was to develop and implement the budget, to develop and write grants that supported the budget. And I've continued that as sheriff. One of the things that I point to, you've heard about the Criminal Justice Institute, which is part of the University of Arkansas system. For the past 3 years, I've been invited down and I've actually guest lectured on budgeting in their Sheriff's Administration and Management School. I was first asked to do that because some of my peers, other sheriffs, saw that I had a good grasp on what it takes to do that. Budgeting is always a tough issue. We have to make sure that we use those funds correctly. You know, every year that I've been involved with our budgeting as sheriff and before, we've had clean audits. The auditors come in and you have to make sure that you comply with state laws on budgeting and make sure that you are spending the tax dollars wisely. We've never gone over our budget, and we continue to make improvements to it every year to make sure that we use it as efficiently as possible for the citizens.
Okay, and House, same question.
This should be in my wheelhouse because I've been in business my whole life. Currently, the budget here in Volnov, I'm well below where I need to be. Last year I finished right at perfect on the budget. One of the reasons I won't take credit for it is I'm down an officer and a couple of dispatchers. That's, I'm not spending that money. It's very important in business to keep and maintain a budget and stay on course, especially like they said with the municipal league doing audits and stuff and checking, you need to be where you need to be. Also would like to go back to that big drug bust. 3 or 4 days prior to that, all them helicopters flying around, I had a guy on Richardson Street I asked to take to jail personally. I'm not gonna call any names, but they said they wouldn't take it. Then they came back with helicopters and smoke and all that stuff and got him here in Baltimore.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. House, we're gonna go right back to you on this
Yeah.
question and talks about incarceration. What's the plan to lower incarceration rates, and in particular, to break the cycle of repeat offenders?
Well, we're gonna have to get them some help. It's not just about incarcerating people, it's trying to get them out of the system. Also, they get in there, get so bogged down in it. We try to work with, here at least, we try to work with, these, like right down the road here, the church, get some of these guys and puts them to work, and they get saved and they get, jobs that they do, and the ministry that's teams that work with them. That is the ultimate goal, is to not just get them to stop selling drugs, but to get completely away from drugs and live a normal, productive life, be a productive citizen. And there's 2 or 3 of those out there. There's John 3:16. There's one here local. I'm sure there's more in the county, but also the judge here works with, if they complete a program, they get like half of their fines reduced, and it knocks off a big chunk of their sentence. I think that's a great and wonderful thing.
Thank you. Sheriff Miller, same question. What's the plan for reducing the incarceration rate and reducing the cycle of repeat offenders?
We always look for ways to have alternative diversion. One of the ways we have here in White County is through drug court under Judge Hanna. This allows somebody to skip out on jail sentence as long as they comply with all the terms of his drug court. When we talk about reducing the population in the county jail, I've gone down and testified before the Senate Legislative Committee about the state's backup. Once an inmate is adjudicated in the circuit court system, they're held sometimes weeks or months in the local county jail before we're able to transfer them to the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Every one of these inmates takes up a bed space that could otherwise be used for local folks that have a need to be incarcerated. So I've testified before that committee more than once on what we need to do to help with that state backup. Tomorrow, I'm going to be engaged in conversations in a meeting with what's happening with violent offenders that are being released early on early parole. The recidivism rate has to be addressed through a number of means, such as these alternative programs, such as drug programming. Many of the inmates in county detention facilities and state facilities is a result of drugs. And we've got to try to break that cycle and help them get out of that cycle. Sometimes it's multi-generational.
Thank you. And Mr. Jeffrey, same question.
Absolutely. Thank you. Reducing the recidivism has to be a priority as well. And this is best accomplished through public-private partnerships. We are blessed in this community to have 501c3s and different ministries like John 3:16, John 3:17, ministries that help people get out of this cycle of drug addiction. Drugs are a nexus crime. Any place you have a drug problem, you got a other crimes problem as well, as people do criminal acts to fund their drug habit. So we've got to target that, right? But the other thing we've got to do is recognize we don't just work with our partners in the private sector. We've also got to go after the easy access that these people have. It is harder to stay sober when somebody is constantly parading your addiction in front of you. And so if we're just going to be nabbing somebody on the side of the road that has a gram and we're leaving the drug houses be, we can send people into these alternative programs, but once they get out, the temptation is going to be right where they left it. We've got to go after the dealers. We got to go after the distributors. And if I'm sheriff, that's what we'll do.
Thank you. Okay, so final question, going to be a little bit open-ended, and I think what we'll do is just kind of use it for a closing statement. And I'm going to go to Mr. House here first. If you just kind of want to close for your, voting starts soon, and so maybe just take this opportunity to also, we'll give 2 minutes, Aaron, for a closing statement here.
All right, thank you. Basically it's about me, it's about Sam, it's about trying to decide which candidate we want to elect as office, but it's really about the service that's getting provided to the citizens of White County. I want to unite all the departments to work together as sheriff. I want to be accessible. I want to go out and visit with and patrol and help get to know everyone in the county that's possible to get to know, find out what's going on in their neighborhoods and help them with their problems. I want to reduce crime all over White County. I just want to be sheriff, and then that, I think want to. It's not a job to me. It's a passion. I think that I do a great job and take the sheriff's office to the next level. That's basically all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey, 2
Yes,
minutes
sir.
for a closing statement.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, I want to say thank you guys for having this forum. I want to point out that, neither Larry or I, taking on an incumbent is a difficult thing. And both of us are gainfully employed outside of this, but both of us have a window into what law enforcement looks like in the county. And it has spurred both of us to pursue this. I take issue with the idea that things are going swimmingly in White County. They just aren't. Searcy is insulated, but that insulation is wearing thin, and the outside world is leaking through. We see that the Searcy of today and the White County of today is not the White County and the Searcy and the Beebe of 10 years ago. We can see that things are changing, and running a 1988 package in 2022 is not an acceptable way to meet a changing threat. Sheriff Miller has been in charge of the budget, as he said, for 6 years as a chief deputy, and now as sheriff even longer than that. And these things have not been made a priority. We've got to change that. And this election is how it happens. So May 24th, May 9th through 24th, I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey. Sheriff Miller.
Sure. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be on today. I want to point out a couple of things here at the close. First of all, if you're looking for information about crime in our cities and in our county and how they compare to other areas of the state, the Arkansas Department of Public Safety collects all those statistics and they publish them to their website, dps.arkansas.gov, and you can go see the yearly statistics for crimes in the county and in the city. And you can find out just exactly what is going on in your county, what crimes are being reported in your city. Our drug task force is #1 in the state. They're second to none. In 2021, they far exceeded any other drug task force in the state in the number and amount of drugs they took off the streets. Finally, 4 years ago, I asked the voters to put their faith and trust in me as the next sheriff. They did that, and I've kept that in mind every day as I've gone to work. And this time, I asked for that vote once again, and I continue to work for your faith and trust to make the Sheriff's Department what you want and to best serve the citizens of White County. And I would ask for your vote in the Republican primary.
All right. Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, gentlemen. Charles, thank you for your time and your role with the Government Affairs Committee. Buck, I appreciate you asking me to do this. It was a great opportunity. It was educational for me. Really appreciate the work that you and your team do over there in Searcy. Everyone besides the chamber staff, y'all have got a good organization over there working on your behalf. And finally, I want to thank the candidates. Excellent discussion and conversation about a topic that's important. And I really appreciate, I think that this was kind of a model exercise. I don't get to vote in the election, but I would be much more informed and not offended about anything I heard. And so that's the hope and the goal. So I would ask every user to encourage other voters to take advantage of this recording and the link and the service the chamber is going to make available, because just as an objective outside observer, I think it was a good exercise. So congratulations on taking an important step in the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again to Jamie and candidates Philip Miller, Larry House, and Sam Jeffrey for an informative event. Thanks again to our sponsors for today: First Community Bank, First Security Bank, and Unity Health. And as a reminder, this event was recorded and will be available for public viewing on the Chamber's website and placed as a link in an email sent to Chamber membership. Thank you for joining this virtual forum. Tarl will end this Zoom meeting.